As I studied my vast Bionicle and Lego collection, pondering what to review next, I kind of came to a standstill. I have so much Bionicle. So much. Look at all of this. It's just overwhelming. If I review one set, will I have to review another? I could review some Lego. Again, this would take forever. Look at all of this Nexonites. Do people even want to watch this? I don't know, maybe I need to try something different. I've already reviewed one of my favorite sets. Man. What the heck is this? Miscellaneous Transformers? This Megatron looks pretty cool. I wonder if people would be interested. I guess I'll try it. Yes. Hello everyone, and welcome to a review. This is a bit special. It's Transformers Beast Wars Megatron. He came out in 1996, I know that by heart. He doesn't have a set number or piece count, really. So why don't we just jump right into it? As you can see, he's pretty imposing. He kind of has the default scientific Tyrannosaurus Rex stance, where he's more kind of straightforward and less straight up, I guess. Pretty intimidating. Definitely puts the P in Predator or something like that. Here's our good friend Tahu, because am I gonna show off a Transformer for a size comparison? No, that's stupid. Tahu, of course. You can see in his kind of default stance, Megatron is about one Bionicle head shorter than Tahu. But you can kind of put him in that 80s right side up kind of stance. And this way he sort of towers over Tahu here. He does not look as intimidating. It looks like he's like, "Can I have some, please?" That's enough Lego brand stuff. Come on now, Transformers. I do love his little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. They're so tiny and sad. They're on ball joints, but the ball joints are more like swivels. They can go like 300 degrees. And it shouldn't be too hard to tell, but his arms are different. His hands are kind of doing different things. He's kind of like doing the nah girl with one hand. I don't know what was up with that. Don't judge me and make weird comparisons. He has a very weird texture to him. It feels almost organic. It's very leathery, and he has lots of like warts and, you know, unhealthy stuff like that. Here's his head up close. He has some pretty nice teeth. He has an interesting divot on his head. I don't know what that's called. He has some pretty menacing eyes. They're just red. Like he's hungry for some blood. He still kind of has boobs or something. I don't know. And then probably the most disturbing part of this figure is all the freaking screw holes. He has 10 visible on this one side. 10? That's a lot. And it really breaks the dinosaur immersion. I actually believe this was a dinosaur. Oh yeah, and his color scheme is super weird. It's like green on top, this tan on the bottom, and then pink. I don't know. I guess we can talk about articulation. His thighs don't go forward and back that much at all. His knees could go a little bit forward and about 90 degrees back. And it's not super useful in this mode, but his knees can swivel. Oof, I guess if you want to pose him in I broke my leg pose. And his toes, or I guess toe, is articulated. It can go about that far down. It can go further, but it makes this horrible creaking noise, and I'm pretty sure it will break. And it can go forward about that far. You might be able to push it like 2 degrees. I don't really know. And this is kind of a, I don't know, disappointing part of the figure maybe. His mouth is kind of weird. So it's spring-loaded, so you have to be kind of careful when opening it up. You can see his tongue is moving in when you open his mouth. He actually has the water gun in his mouth. I can't really get it out right now. I'll show it off better in robot mode. But I'm not going to show it off. It's kind of corroded and weird. It was kind of corroded before I got it. So I would not recommend using this feature. But it is kind of weird because you have to rip his throat out to access it. And you can see it just, when you open his mouth, it just pulls this purple piece back and it pulls on the tongue. You squirt the water because it's a pump and that's how pumps work. It just goes to show how pumped I am to get better lighting. It's a lot better. Am I going to reshoot? No, of course not, because I like the footage I already took it. Now, it's not as exciting as squirting the liquid, but he does have another way to shoot projectiles at people. You can rip his thigh out, and it's revealed to be a hidden missile launcher. So you can hit this purple thing, and it will shoot missile. And it's a very interesting missile. It kind of looks like a anchor or something. It's very interesting, and it shoots surprisingly well. And you can see that when you fire it, when you pull this out, you can see the robot mode stuff, which is kind of funny. I think it's kind of cool because I don't know. It looks like it's on purpose almost. And then this side also can fire, but the set I got, or the figure, only had one missile. I'd rather have one missile and that extra like $30 than to have two missiles, because this guy is expensive. So I guess we can start transforming him. So first thing we want to do is open up his boob panel, and you can store stuff in there. I don't know, a spark maybe. And you're going to want to flip his little hands up. And then here's the fun part. You're going to want to go to his back and split it in half. Is this guy a shell former? I don't think so. I think it's pretty creative. You can see that opens things up quite a bit and really changes the profile. Then you want to split his tail, or kind of his lower back. And then this is very weird. You're going to want to swing it, and then that's going to become his left arm. I guess he's right-handed, or should I say right-headed. So you just kind of pull that out. Not very exciting. I'm not sure if I'm doing this in the exact order, but you're not going to, like, blow up the universe if you do it incorrectly. This is probably, I think, the most, I don't know, innovative part. So what you want to do is you want to pull up his torso. You can see it's on a very interesting slider. It's a little tricky to see because it's all like a very matte black, but it's there. And then you're going to want to twist his whole torso. So you're going to want to kind of flip it down and then twist it. So that really changes the shape of things. And it's pretty floppy right now. So you're going to want to flip the head up. So that just kind of flips up and snaps right into place. And then there are these very strange little pegs here. And you're going to plug these purple pieces into them. Like that. Nice snap there. Push his little boob panel back. And I think I did things kind of out of order. So now you're going to want to flip his legs down. Flip them around. And that's why they have the weird rotation. And then flip his heel spurs out. I'm sure you didn't see that coming. And these do actually add a surprising amount of support. And then we're basically done. You can do it ever you want with these really big guns. I wish you could take them off or something. They look kind of ridiculous. But yeah, we're mostly done here. You kind of just, you can push his panels back if you want. They kind of look like wings. So as you can see, he did gain quite a bit of height. So let's bring Tahu out here. If I can find him. There we go. And now Megatron is about a bionicle head taller than Tahu. You can also see he is a semi-thick boy. He's not too bad compared to some other Transformers that just have like these massive backpacks that are bigger than the rest of the figure. So yeah, he scales pretty nicely to Tahu, and if they ever crossed paths, I think they would have a pretty epic battle. So now then, with the first couple of waves, or basically the first year of Beast Wars, they had this very strange gimmick where everyone had two heads, basically. They were called battle masks, or at least that's what everyone called them. And I hope you don't see where this is going. But yeah, they were pretty weird. So you can see, this is Megatron's, and it's a little confusing. So he has this big horn, I don't know what that's about. And one could say it's slightly reptilian. His original form was crocodile, I believe. So I guess you can see some of that. I don't know. It's also bird-like. And you actually can see some of his face under there. Kind of move his legs out of the way. You can see him kind of gritting his teeth. And if you look very closely, it's a little hard to see. His little red eyes kind of poke through. And they're very beady. He looks like he's ready to kill. I feel like the Predacons kind of had it better when it came to the battle masks. I don't know. So as you can see, it just kind of splits open. Pretty grand. And it looks ridiculous. Looks like his head has bat wings. Like, seriously, look at this. Also, for some interesting reason, the inside of the battle mask has detail, so the inside of his mask is veiny. I think they're actually called meat heads, now that I think about it. Not battle masks, meat heads, I think. So that's why it's more organic and weird looking. So there's Megatron's head. He looks pretty upset. A lot of people make fun of it. You can see that's the back of his head. Now, to take the mask off, you would have to use a screwdriver to take apart his head, and then take him out that way. Which, in my opinion, is not really worth it. I don't know. It does honestly look a little bit better with the mask closed up, though. No offense, Megatron. That just looks kind of funny with these big wings and his big constipation face. There, I said it. Okay, you happy? You happy? I said it. Everyone makes fun of his face and says, "Oh look, constipated Megatron." Okay. There, I said it. Now his big guns, obviously still work in this mode. As you can see, they have a lot of weight to them, so they have a very short arc. They just kind of whoop. You know what I'm saying? But they're pretty powerful. And you can still pull them out by like a centimeter or something. Kind of weird. Now then, his left arm is there, I guess. It has this interesting feature. So there's this little black button here, and it brings in his hand. It's hard to show. Mine does not work too super well, but you're not missing much. It just is kind of weird. A lot of people, this is painful for me, kind of try and close his hand, which will kind of skip teeth on the gear, which kind of makes me very uncomfortable. There we go. And it makes the action feature work a little bit better, but it just is kind of weird to me. I don't really like it. I'd rather he had a hand or something. I don't know. I think the show did that a lot better. Now this hand is pretty cool. It still can open and, bite down pretty hard. All the teeth are painted, which is pretty nice. I guess now would be a good time to talk about articulation, because he does gain quite a bit. So you can see he kind of has a bicep swivel, which is pretty nice. It's kind of a shoulder swivel. It's a weird spot, kind of weird. He does have shoulder, like a shoulder hinge, which is pretty useful. And he also has an elbow, which is pretty nice. And he does have a rotation at his shoulder, so you can get him into some pretty cool poses. It is really stiff though, so you can kind of bend him like that, bend it like Beckham, and then, you know, you can have a pretty cool, like, angry anime man pose. And since we're over here, I guess we can talk about the weird water gun. You have enough clearance to rip his mouth out, and you can see it's pretty interesting. Okay, come on, stand, Megatron, thank you. Now, it's a water tank, and you can see this is the cap, but it corroded. It was pretty corroded when I got it, and then I tried opening it, and then it ripped apart. Water goes in there, and then you just pull that back, and it shoots water. It's supposed to be like poison spray or something. So maybe some green food coloring wouldn't hurt. And it leaves a pretty big gap in his mouth. You can fit a lot in there, I guess, but it looks kind of awkward, and now there's no friction in his mouth. So it is easier to prop it open, so that's nice. And then it's just as easy to shove his tongue back in. Okay. And I guess now we'll talk about his left arm, which is the thing I love to pick on. It has the shoulder rotation. Pretty nice, pretty useful for this arm. And then it also has the hinge here. He also has quite the elbow. It can go really far in and out. It can go that far in, and then you can't even use its maximum range, really. But again, it's not super useful. I don't know. I guess you can get him into some cool poses with it. Then he does have outward articulation on his thigh, which is actually pretty surprising. So you can do some karate kicks, and then it can go in and out. It can go really far both ways. It will kind of hit his weird wings back here. So that's pretty useful, actually. Man, these side cannons get in the way all the time. And his knees can go in and out, and they can do the rotation. And his heel spurs actually can go even further than they need to, which is surprisingly useful. And then all the toes are painted, which is nice. They do get scratched very easily. And then again, here's something that I appreciate, which is waist articulation. You can do a nice solid 360. And again, these freaking guns, man, they get in the way in like every situation. I really wish you could take them off. Probably the most frustrating and cluttered part of the whole figure. That's definitely a problem with the whole figure, is the clutter. This head can also go back and forth. It's on a ball joint. It can go up and down a little bit. It's not super useful. Now then, I could not find the original retail price of this guy. I'm not sure if anyone knows. I looked on Wikipedia, I looked on some websites. I could not find it. My guess is, adjusted for inflation, he's about $50 to $60, maybe. Most of the time, ultra classes were, I believe, 30 or 40. And he's ultra class. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. He is ultra class, but that doesn't really mean anything now, does it? Now, he does fetch a pretty penny. Well, a moderately attractive penny. You can find him for like $30 or $40 complete. Godspeed. I wish you luck if that's your price range. I tried to find them for that much. I could not. I believe I paid like $70 or something. Ridiculous. Wasn't even 100% complete. Maybe it wasn't that much, but he's fairly expensive. Complete. incomplete as in like missing, I don't know, like all of his accessories, like the throat and the missiles. Missing the throat was incredibly common. It'll probably only be like $20 or something, $30 to $20, but I don't know, homie don't play that. But if you don't care about that, he should not be too expensive, but for the completionist, he will be quite pricey. He is, in my opinion, incredibly cool, and, you know, it's not the most complex transformation, but I think it's definitely unique, and it took a lot of smart engineering, and it's just a pretty nice figure all around, in my opinion. The screw holes could have been covered up a little bit better, and it's kind of a cluttered figure when he's in robot mode. There's just bits hanging off everywhere. My biggest problem, I know I've expressed this, is the cannons. They're very annoying, but it's a pretty solid figure, so if you can find it for less than $1 billion, get it.